When you went with your dad, was that more of like of a punishment, or is that something you chose to do?
Well, it turned out to be a punishment, but it was like a punishment. That's how it happened. It turned out to be a good thing, because I learned how to paint. I learned how to do sheetrock. That was my kind of the first things I learned how to do,
And you learned all that with your dad?
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was like, for lack of better words, like a jack of all trades?
Yeah. While working and going to people's houses to do their cars, I was just like, yo, this could be good money. If I could do this many times and do this. So all the jobs that I was going to, now this was the main thing. This is the main thing. Nobody's going to change my destiny. Nobody's going to change what's going to happen to me. Nobody's going to change what I'm building for me. You know what I'm saying? It's just who's going to be there and who's not. You know what I mean? If you're going to be there, then fine. If you're not, then you're not. You know what I mean? That's going to be your decision.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of MotorCast. This is, and I feel like I keep saying it, but this is going to be the best one yet. I feel like this is keep improving and keep improving. I'm one of your hosts, Raheem. We got Homer, and we have the legendary Mr. Gibson. And I'm going to let him introduce himself too, but I know definitely I want to give you an introduction, Mr. Gibson, and I know for sure Homer wants to speak about you too. But why don't you welcome everybody in, Homer?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm very happy to be here today with my co-host Raheem, but more happy to have Gibson. I've known Gibson for more than 2 years already, and let me tell you that I'm totally surprised of what I'm seeing on Mr. Gibson today. I don't wanna spoil it. We're gonna get deep into it, but welcome, Gibson.
Peace. How y'all doing, man?
We're doing good,
Glad
Mr.
to be
Gibson.
here, man. Yo, I'm excited about this.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. I know it was super late notice. Last night, I'm like, yo, can you be here at 11 tomorrow? And it's noon. It's 12:30, and we're finally getting started. I was super, so like just so you kind of know what's going on with Gibson. So like we sat down, we came up with MotorCast, and then we started just like a Word docs, right? And we started typing and just throwing our ideas in and things like that. And then I think Omar came up with the idea of like, are we going to have guests? Who we're going to have? And for whatever reason, my mind didn't go to like famous people or people that other people would know. My mind went to the people I know, right? Who do I have in my circle that I would want to showcase? Who do I have in my friendships that I feel like is valuable to, not to say valuable enough, but brings enough value to share with the rest of the world? And the reason you came up in my head, Mr. Gibson, was like, I feel like one, you and I have been able to build a pretty amazing relationship. Mr. Gibson is truly like there's vendors in businesses and there's other businesses that you work with, but I feel like Mr. Gibson has truly become a partner in our business. But like for me, Mr. Gibson, you're somebody that I count on. You're somebody that I rely on. And like, quite frankly, you're somebody that I trust. And you and I just started talking about this yesterday, but like that I think the reason we get together so well, just like me and you and just like all the other guests we have on here, is like, I think that loyalty bit is like super important to both of us. And that trust bit is super important to both of us. And that's why I was super excited to share our relationship with you with the rest of the world.
That's what's up. I concur about that, especially the trust thing and everything, you know what I mean? We dealing with businesses and we dealing with money, equipment, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And we got to trust each other what we're doing and trust that we're going to do what we need to do for the company.
And for me, it gets even past, like, to be honest, past the business part of it, right? For me, is something as simple as like, I know when I'm going to call you, you're going to answer my calls. I know when I need your help with something, even if it's not something work-related. Right. Like many a times I've come to you, ask you for some super unorthodox stuff that I would never go up to anybody else talking about, right? And I know, one, that I could confide in you with it, but two, I know that I don't have to feel like I'm being judged around you or anything like that. But absolutely. I could go on forever, but I would love for everybody to hear from you. Who is Mr. Gibson? Who is Mr. Gibson? Just introduce yourself to everybody, and then Homer and I, we have some specific questions. We'll kind of ask you to share your story, but for now, just give us a little intro.
Okay. Peace. My name is L. Gibson Bay, Lenard Gibson. I'm a mobile detailer. I'm a detailer, you know. I'm the detailer, you know, of motivation. You know, I detail cars here for motivation, and started, you know, going to detail cars on the bus, you know, and my motto was just showroom shined up, you know, always. You
Like
know?
you see on his shirt, showroom shined up.
Yeah, like I wanted to be rememberable, you know. When I left people's cars and stuff like that, I wanted to be remembered. I wanted them to be like, yo, he did my car really well and things like that. So even when I was on the bus, that was my motto, you know. So I was just taking the bus because my mom, she like got me this little packet where you could detail the car without this, so like a waterless wash thing. So my mom, shout out to my mom, you know, she did that, you know. It was like a little waterless wash packet she blessed me with, and I came out here and I was like doing the cars. They were like, how'd you do that with no water and stuff like that? So that's like kind of how it started, you know, for me going off on my own, besides, you know, me starting at my dad's car wash here in Georgia.
Awesome, and I think you just ran through like so many different things in that little intro. But it's I think I have to touch on that just for a second. I think you just didn't give yourself enough credit on that one. Mr. Gibson is lying. He's not a detailer. He's a serial entrepreneur, and we're gonna get way more into that. But like, if I were to think of words to describe you, Mr. Gibson, detailer is not even on the list.
Yeah.
It starts with serial entrepreneur. Mr. Gibson definitely has way more established businesses than most people that I have in my circle.
Yeah.
But really, like, other than the detail and other than what you do for a living, really, who are you, Mr. Gibson? Like, what makes you who you are? Where were you raised up? Like, what, you know, how did Mr. Gibson come to light? And we'll take that and run with it from there.
Well, I was born in Passaic, New Jersey. You know, Passaic, and I was there for a while, grew up to, I don't know, around 10, 11 years old. And in Passaic, you know, it was kind of rough, you know. It was rough, you know. Boxing was a thing, you know, so it was like I was been fighting since I was little. I've been fighting and playing football. It was just always rough, you know. I remember that. And we moved to Georgia. I was very young, and we moved to Georgia. You know, my dad's family's from Georgia. My mom's from North Carolina. Her family's from North Carolina. They met in New Jersey, you know, and we eventually moved here to Georgia, you know, with my dad. And I was young. They split. We moved to Rhode Island. And from there, you know, I like the streets and stuff like that. You know, that's what I was doing. I went to school, and you know, I was kind of smart in school, you know, but I like being outside better. And you know, I got into a lot of trouble. Got myself in a lot of trouble, made a lot of bad decisions and stuff like that. You know, went to jail a lot. Went to jail at a very young age, and did about a year and a half of jail at 14 or something like that.
What?
Yeah. And you know, the judges was like, oh, you need to go do something, you know. So long story short, they basically, you know, sent me here to Georgia in down south. Shout out to Wilcox County, Abbeville. What's good? You know what I mean? So I was down there, you know, and I really didn't like it because it was like the country, you know. So it was, and you know, it was like, you know, just different. It was like a shock for me. And but it was needed, you know. It was needed, and I learned to very well love and respect it, you know what I mean? And it's dope. And but you know, even though I had moved and things like that, my mindset was still the same.
And what was that?
You know, I was just getting into mischief. I was, you know, when the trouble came, I confronted it. You know, I just
In some point, I can tell that probably trouble was chasing you.
it seemed like it. You know, I would think that, but then, you know, I realized that, you know, as I got older, like, yo, it was my mindset. You know, so no matter where I went, you know, that wasn't going to change anything. You know, shipping me off or me getting locked up, I had to change my mindset. You know, but you know, so I got in trouble down there too, and went back up north. And
do you think it would be a fair statement to say, like, it's almost like you wanted the smoke all the time? You wanted the trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely wanted it. What about it made you feel like you wanted it?
I don't know. It was just the way the energy was, and people just didn't. I didn't like. I don't know. People wasn't trustworthy. at the time I didn't understand, but now I can say, you know, I knew kind of what it was, you know what I'm saying? Because when I open myself to you, you know, like, you're vulnerable now too, because like, just don't hurt my feelings because I take it back. You know, I guess I get in my feelings.
Yeah,
you know,
I think we're all a little emotional, man.
So, you know, so just don't, you know, so, but as a youngster, you know, we have, you know, the wrong way of making decisions and things like that. And I had to learn how to deal with it and look into myself.
And I think no matter what, I mean, I definitely, you know, I feel like a lot of people have had their different encounters with trouble per se, and their different encounters with that part of life. But I feel like I guess the way like my mindset has changed is like, no matter what, it was designed to make you who you are today, right? So I feel like I hate that you had to go through that, right? And I bet that sometimes you even look back to it and like, yo, what was I doing, right? Or was there anything I could have changed? But I think at some point it set you up to be exactly who you are today, which turns out to be one of the people that I respect so much and wouldn't have any other way.
That's peace. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I want to, and I have so many questions, Omar, so just cut me off at any point. But I want to dive into, you say you were 14 and you went to prison for a year and a half. So where was that? Was that in Georgia?
That was in Rhode Island.
That was in Rhode Island.
That was in the Ritz.
So you came out then, so about 15 and a half, 16 is about when you came out. Where were you then when you came out? That was still in Rhode Island?
I was still in Rhode Island then, but I was like on some type of probationary thing, and I got in trouble. Something else happened and I violated, and they said that I needed to move. You know, but it wasn't like they forced me. It was just something that the judge was saying, like, you need to do something else or something.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, I had family here in Georgia, you know, and it was always something I was supposed to come here, and it finally happened.
So you finally come to Georgia, and I'm still going to be looking through your story. I'm still going to be looking to connect the dots. I think because I already know you, it's not like you just chose the auto industry, right? There was something that happened that eventually got you into it, but so now you've moved to Georgia. What are you doing in Georgia? And you're a young man, right? What are you, 16, 17 years old?
Yeah.
16, 17 years old. What are you doing in Georgia? Well, I guess this is the time where most people will be graduating high school. Maybe you had a different path. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. It was funny when you mentioned high school, but yeah, the schools, I all the schools I went to, I got kicked out of in Rhode Island, the ones that I was able to go to. So school just was out of the question. And I tried to go to something they called Job Corps. I just thought about that when you said school, but I tried to go to something called Job Corps, and, you know, that's when I went to do the jail, you know, before I got shipped off to go to Job Corps, that's when I went to go to jail. So and when I got out, I went to Georgia, and down in Georgia, that's when I got to get with my father. And when I got with my dad, you know, I was still rebellious,
and probably maybe at the peak of your rebellion, right?
It was the perfect time to knock it down.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of, you know, it was good to knock it down.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I had to slow down and stuff like that, and I got with my dad, you know, and he kind of he was like doing like construction, like working on trailers and stuff like that. Like he had a trailer, you know, on his land that he would fix, you know what I mean? And then he would sell it and then get another one and fix it. And he, you know, when I came in, that's the type of stuff he was doing, painting houses. My uncle, the first Gibson car wash called Gibson 1, you know, shout out RIP to my uncle. He opened the first Gibson car wash in Atlanta. I think it was on Covington Highway, Gibson 1.
And so when you went with your dad, was that more of like others people version of like, you obviously you're messing up, you got to be with your dad, and was that more of a punishment, or is that something you chose to do?
Well, it turned out to be a punishment, but, you know, it was like a punishment. That's how it happened. You know, that's kind of how it happened. You know, it was a punishment, you know, but it turned out to be a good thing, you know, because I learned how to paint. I learned how to do sheetrock. That was my kind of the first things I learned how to do, like, you know.
And you learn all that with your dad.
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was like, for lack of better words, like a jack of all trades. He's fixing trailers, he's doing construction, he's painting.
Right.
Seemed like he just was a hard worker.
Yeah, he did all that.
All that. And so you, as a punishment, now you're with Pops, right? And he's probably putting you to work like crazy.
Yeah, scraping houses, I had to do the scraping of the house. I used to hate it.
And
kind of roofs and stuff like that.
And hopefully I'm wrong, but I imagine the payment was you get to live under his roof.
Oh yeah, that was
that was the payment.
That was part of the payment. Yeah,
Right.
you know, he would, you know, he would hook me up and stuff like that. But absolutely, you know, because I started to work the house and work around the house and stuff like that. Yep.
So Mr. Gibson is now, I guess,
cars.
What, you're like 18 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 18 now. You're working with Pops. You're working on. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know this until today that he was buying and selling RVs and trailers.
Yeah.
So you out of nowhere, he's just like, yo, grab these tools, fix this.
Yeah, we have to do sheetrock. You know what I mean? We listen to his music. You know, old school music and all that stuff. You know, that I vibe with. You know what I mean? Blow some dank. You know what I mean? And we do some painting and stuff like that.
And
I mean, doing the work.
One thing that for me is very important and is the two things actually is the fact that all the things the good things that normally pain is gonna bring us. Like I understand that you were in pain at that time on probably not getting paid as Radim was saying. I guess that at that age, because I have a daughter that she just turned into the teenager area or age, and she's always fighting either with me or her mom.
Yeah.
Right. So at that time that you were used to be fighting everyone, you were in pain, you were suffering, and all that pain that was bringing you at that moment, that you were having at that moment, you were learning at the same time, and you didn't even realize that.
Nah.
Also, the other thing that I would love to mention is the importance of having a father figure in your life.
Yeah.
And in the point that you were having that father figure, it's so important.
Right. Yeah, like I didn't everything you said. Like I actually realized that later. You know, like after later, like, you know, I grew up and stuff. Like, man, I know how to do, because I went back up north. You know, like with a different mindset of doing business. You know, so now you know, and I went through things with that. You know, that's a whole nother story too.
And if I could add on what you just said, Homer, and that it all like just clicked to me right now. I follow somebody on social media. His name is Alex Hermosi. And one thing that he said that, like, just when you said that, like, it went full circle for me was, I think he said in an interview, imagine that, like, you want to build, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but he said, imagine you want to build the best version of yourself. What do you put that person through to make sure that they come out the best version of themselves? Like, if you want somebody who's patient, do you give them a lot of troubles, or do you give them a lot of easy things? You give them a lot of troubles, the most troubles you can find. If you want somebody to be hardcore, you don't give them any of the easiest tasks, right? You give them the hardest of the hard tasks. If you want somebody who's persistent, somebody who's consistent, somebody who's disciplined, all you're going to put in their way is obstacles. So, like, it's almost like, in my opinion, God's version of us being built to the best version of ourselves. And the only difference is, you know, if you were building that person of yourself, you could force it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only difference is God is not going to force it. We've had a decision every single time to, like, do I want to become this best version of myself and go through the BS, or do I want to be a mediocre version of myself and turn away from troubles?
Right. That's a good example. Like, because when I first got out of the federal prison and I went to go work at the car wash, you know, I could have just came into the car wash and just was like, okay, y'all would do this, you know, directing, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come in working first.
Absolutely, and you're skipping way ahead, and we're gonna get to that part. But so what I know from talking with you, it seems like your uncle played. Is it your uncle? He played a big part in your growth, and especially bringing you into the detail inside, right? Because
first my uncle, my uncle Raymond, you know, he had the car wash, you know what I mean?
This is Gibson 1.
Yeah, Gibson 1 that me and my dad, actually, it was an office space, and we turned it into the car wash. But, you know, I didn't get to work there or anything like that. But you know, later on, then my dad, when I got out of jail, you know, fast forward, you know, when I got out of jail and came to work at a car wash. It was my dad and my Uncle Larry, their car wash on Wall Drop and the Drop, indicator. And that's where I was working at.
And so you come into this car wash and you start just at the bottom of the totem pole, right? Just because you do them doesn't mean you just went in there running stuff, right?
Yeah. I wanted to work. I wanted to work the cars and stuff like that. I wanted to clean the cars.
And dive into that. So like it's what made you want to jump into that? Because you were already working with your dad, and I guess you could have just continued that. But what made you want to say, hey, I want to get into this? And I want to talk about now your transition into working up. From what I've heard, you worked yourself from the bottom as a regular worker to running the place, right?
Yeah.
And I want to hear that story.
Well, okay. I was in the halfway house, so I was I got out the federal jail. And
do you know what a halfway house is? Tell Homer what is a halfway house?
Okay. When you are released from prison, federal prison or maybe state prison, sometimes you still have to be on what they call probation or paper. And sometimes you have to go to a halfway house first. It's still part of the transition of coming back to society.
Oh, okay.
So while you're in the halfway house, they're basically making sure that you can function properly in society while you're still locked up. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, look, we're gonna give you a taste of going out. Go and get a job. Can you go get a job? And then once your time is up, you're released, or if you violate, you go back to jail.
How do they control when you come back and all that? I'm sorry if I'm not asking that question.
No, it's no problem. No, it's no problem. They control it by it's not control. It's time for you to get a chance to see if you can deal with yourself and society and not make mistakes. So what they do is now you've done a certain amount of time and we've allowed it, and now we're going to give you a chance, but we're going to give you put you on a leash.
and from what I understand, you sleep there and you check in there every day, and I think there's certain times where you can be out and it's certain times where you have to be there.
Right.
I think they have like zero tolerance policy on drugs, alcohol, and being late, right?
Oh yeah, none of that.
So, Pretty much like you have to, I think whatever, and you probably know, but I don't know why I'm trying to explain it like I know what it is, but I guess you leave, right? You leave in the morning. Well, at first I think you go out there that you try to get a job, right? So for some people it's standing out in lines. For some people it's applying in person or whatever the case is. Once you secure a job, I think they connect with your employer, right, and see, is this job real? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this job real? What are your hours going to be like? Things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. It's something like that.
Yeah. And then what, I guess you have some time that you're able to stay out of it. And then you have to, from what I remember, because I've had somebody work with motivation that lived in a halfway house at the time, they're always talking to us. They wanted to know exactly when that person left the building. Yeah. They wanted to know exactly how long it took them to get back to the halfway house. And they needed to be there at the exact, like the person that was working for us, they could not stay late for anything.
Right.
Like they literally, once it hit this time, I got to get on the road.
Yep.
It didn't matter if I had food in the microwave. I got to get on the road.
Yep. It's over with because you got to be back there on time. If not, they'll take your, you might not see them again.
And I think that's how they control it, right? It's the fear of the loss. Like right. You can have this in a controlled environment, but like if you mess up, boom, it's gone.
Yeah. That's exactly how it is. So that's basically how they control it, and the people that want to get out, they better do right.
So that was a little sidebar. So you're staying at a halfway house and you're working at the one in Waldrop.
Yeah, I was working at the car wash and stuff like that, and while working at the car wash, I'm just mapping out everything because I got a plan, and it just so happens the car wash was there for me to work at. So I was able to work at that and work another job. So I stayed out the halfway house more, because I had jobs, and I was working the two jobs. And the car wash, I don't know, like I'm a little OCD-ish, I guess, with the cleaning. And like a lot of people's customers, I gained a lot of customers at the car wash, and they would give me big tips and stuff. And they would tell me like, "Oh, you're doing too much to the car. You can't do that to the car because they have to pay for that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, all right." So this is why the people was like coming to me and stuff like that. I didn't know. I just thought,
You're just trying to do the best you can do.
Right. But my mindset the whole time was like this is not something that, you know, if, you know, I'll clean your whole car, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was like, I want to do this on my own, you know what I mean? I'll do this on my own.
When did
without
that
hope
idea
to
first
somebody.
hit you? That this is what I want to do on my own?
I don't know, like it was early. It like when I first started working at, it probably took me a couple months. Cause people was like wondering, like, can you come to my house? Because I can't always come over here and stuff like that. And I was like, really? I said, if I come to your house, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more than this. And blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay. And so I was like, wow. But at the time, I didn't have a vehicle, you know? So it was a couple people that I went to their houses and I did their cars, you know? And they paid fine, you know? And I was like, well, I'll come back, you know? Well, I'll come back, you know, on a continuous basis.
And when do
for a
you
certain
think this
amount.
was years-wise? What year was it, you think?
I could tell you, 2015.
2015. That's a long time. Like, I feel like mobile detailing is just now getting hot, and you were doing this in 2015 without a vehicle.
Yeah, I was in 2015. I registered Gibson Mobile Detail.
Gibson Mobile Detailing.
It was like now it's Gibson's Mobile Detailing, but you know, in Georgia, just as a DBA is Gibson Mobile Detail. You know, in 2015.
So in 2015 was in Georgia or in New York? Or
No, Georgia. Mm-hmm.
So that happened in 2015, and then way before then, you're working at the wall drop detail shop. I know there's a lot that happened between 2015 and that place. Take me into that middle of it. What are the things that you experienced in life? What are some of the hardships you went through
Wow.
that made you who you are in 2015 to have that mindset of like, yo, I'm opening my own business? Because to me, that's a hard decision to make, one. But two, even the steps to go and make the business, register the business, like you really have to be serious about it and want it, right? Like I meet people every day that come up with ideas, and that's all they are. And I'm sorry, hurt any feelings, but that's all it is idea until you do something with it, right? And you took the idea, you maybe had a plan, didn't have a plan, but you knew, yo, the first step is I need to register this business.
Right.
But what happened from the wall drop detail shop to the time you got to the version of yourself that says, hey, I'm opening my own business?
Well, first off, like when I was first, this is how it started. Like going to look for jobs from the halfway house, I would have to go get on the bus and stuff like that. And I wasn't used to getting on the bus and people like stepping on your shoe or bumping into you and not saying shit. You know what I mean? Or my bad. But you know what I mean? But like I'm not used to like people like, just disrespectful, So that would be something that I have to deal with. And then that I have to, because I'm on the bus and it's crowded and stuff like that. So I would actually get headaches and want to go back to the halfway house. I was like, I can't believe this, So but that ended kind of fast. But now I share with you a little bit about this. I would go into the places to look for jobs and get on the computer. And so I would get on the computer and stuff like that. And I didn't learn about the computer or anything like that. So
I can see now it's making you antsy.
Yeah,
Gibson hates the computer.
So I I'm learning to get with it now. But that was an issue for me when I go fill out applications and stuff like that. And sometimes the computer might shut all the way down and I got to start over again. I get up and leave.
I said, forget this,
because
I'm not dealing with
my head will start. So that was something. That I was like, what the hell? I gotta shake that or whatever. But while working and going to people's houses to do their cars, I was just like, yo, this could be good money. If I could do this many times and do this. So all the jobs that I was going to, now this was the main thing. This is the main thing. I would go to a job and the interview would go great. Like the interview would be like flying colors because I've done a few things already before, so I was like, oh yeah, I could do it and stuff like that. But when my background come back, I won't get the job.
What was the problem with your background?
It's just it's long, I guess, and it's got some violence on there.
What do you think would deter people the most? You told me about this yesterday, but what do you think? What was deterring people the most when you said this? They were just like, and your dude told you like, yo, stop telling everybody that.
Oh, I would tell people, you know, like, yo, I've been in jail, and you know what I mean. So, you know, because I didn't want people to find out and then be like, oh, you know, he's you know, he's been in jail, you know, this guy, you know, in prison and stuff like that, you know, convict.
And most people who are listening are probably like, yo, it happened when you were 14. It was a year and a half. What's the big deal?
Yeah, but you know, it's not just that. It's when you have, I guess, you know, everybody's gonna have their feelings about things. You know what I mean? There's some things that there's nothing in my jacket that has to do with no skin beefing. You know what I mean? Or no snitching. None of that. You know what I mean? It's just when you guns and violence. You know, some people.
That's
just
when you
get
were
shot
out there
away
looking
from
for the trouble.
Yeah, you know, and drugs. You know, so that, you know, all that is a mixture that, you know, the jobs that I was trying to get was like real good jobs that I could do.
And how long total were you in prison?
What you mean?
Total.
Like total? Probably, let's see, let's say 10, 16, 18, probably 18 years of my life.
18 years of your life.
Probably 18 years of my life.
Most people that don't even know that about Mr. Gibson.
I mean, I knew that, but not the amount of years. Because Mr. Gibson and I, we have had conversations in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I am very happy to have him, because I know that he brings a lot of value. But I think where I guess I was always afraid to ask that question.
Now I'm like my probation officer. Like when I got out, I was in jail. I was in the federal prison studying the whole time. Like I wasn't trying to get into none. I was trying to work on my vocabulary, how to talk to people and stuff. Because I wanted to do business. I wanted to do business, but I wanted to learn how to socialize better. I wanted my vocabulary to be better than just cuss words. You know, I mean, you know. So because when I was younger, the things that I learned from my dad when I went to another state and, you know, tried to execute them, you know, things didn't go well for me, you know, and I didn't understand why then, you know, and you know, I learned why, you know, and I had to get better, you know. I had to learn how to speak to people, you know what I mean, and not be afraid to speak to them either, you know, because I felt, you know, because of things that has happened, you know, they're not gonna look at me because when I had long dreads, you know.
I
had
can't even imagine that.
Oh yeah, I didn't like nothing but
I
dreads.
can imagine that.
That was all I did. I didn't do no to short hair stuff.
So I mean, that the reason I asked that question point blank, Mr. Gibson, is because I think from my perspective, that's a big reason of who you are, why you are who you are, and also I think it was in the molding of who you are. Do you know what I mean? I think just like some of the stories you share with me and things like that, just like the use that you made of that time away from society, right? It seemed like you were learning. It seemed like you were reading. It seemed like you were trying to learn new things. I think you even told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, were you teaching classes inside?
Yeah.
Right? About business and things like that. And I think, you know, obviously everything happens for a reason, especially if you ask my mom, right? And if she was here right now, she would say, it was meant for you to be there and get all that training and get all that learning and build all that patience to help you get ready for the rest of your life.
Right.
I think a lot of people, and this is like a sidebar, but I think a lot of people are so like caught up in like what they're doing and when they're doing as far as age. Like, and even I get into that mindset, right? Like, man, I'm 30. There's other 30-year-olds doing X, Y, and Z, and I have to like learn to like kind of realize like this is my path though, right? And my path is not anybody else's, and I need to stop comparing that. And I think like again, if she was here, she would just say that was your path, and that was that time was catapulting you back to let you shoot off.
You know what? Like that's true, because there's things that I did in prison that I didn't think that I would do. You know, like you know, I put on plays and stuff. You know, put together shows and stuff for the jails, and you know. I was around.
What kind of plays or shows were you putting together?
Black History Month. That was my month. Every month of whatever jail I was at, all the attention was on L. Gibson Bay.
And how was that? Tell us about that.
Well, before, you know, I would do auditions. You know, for a play that I've written or me and someone collaborated on, and that was rough, but we would do the auditions and stuff, and then do the practices, you know, a few months ahead of time, and then by the time, you know, February came, you know, we would have dates where we would put the play, do the play.
That's amazing. I did not know that about you. That's my first time learning that about you.
And I have one question, because you said that no matter what prison was at that month, right? How does it work? How often do you change because in my understanding or ignorance, you are in one prison and you do your time in that same prison, or how does it work?
I understand what you're asking. When you're doing state time, you typically, like here in the state of Georgia, if I was doing state time, which is, you know, I committed a crime that only the state of Georgia, you know, will, you know, convict me of, but they'll lock me up just in the state. But when it's federal, that means you know, it was a crime like that was federal throughout the whole United States. You know, it's a little bit different. You know, it's more of the government. You know what I mean? More of the government, and the state is, you know, they have their own little thing.
And were they moving you around places?
The federal time, you know, typically everyone gets moved around, you know, after a certain amount of time.
Cool. So now, bring us past that, right? You did that. You entered back into society, and bring us to now the transition of what's your mindset? What are you doing at the time, and all the way up to you opening Gibson's Mobile Detail.
Okay. Well, like I said, during the time in the halfway house, working, you know, with dad and aunt, and you know, I started when I was going and doing people's houses, going to people's houses and stuff like that. It kind of
And what would you bring with you on the bus?
I have a bag.
Okay.
I have a bag of the stuff. Like I went to visit my mom in Rhode Island, and there was a guy selling a waterless wash kit. They were in cans, and I was like, that's dope. That's amazing. And my mom was like, you want it? We're gonna get it.
What a mom!
And she bought it for me. She just bought it for me.
That's
she was
just
like,
what
here.
moms do, bro. That's
Yeah,
just
mom's
what
dope.
do.
Yeah, she's dope. Her birthday just passed. Happy birthday, mom. You know what I mean?
Happy birthday.
Hey,
Is her last name Gibson too?
Lipscomb.
Lipscomb?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Lipscomb.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
but yeah, so I came back here and I was doing it, and it was just took off, you know, and I just got, you know, a following of people doing it, and then eventually I was doing that, and I was working another job, and I started working at my cousin's tire shop, and I was washing
The infamous tire shop.
Right,
You might as well shout them out too.
already R&R, you know what I mean? Tie and Ride, 11 over on Pryor University. Yo, come holler at us. You know what I mean? He knows about the tire shop. But anyway, I have
a love-hate relationship with the tire shop.
Yeah.
no, not really hate, but there's a bittersweet relationship with the tire shop.
Yo, cuz, Josh, yo.
Because let me tell you why. Because Mr. Gibson he had to go to the tire shops two days a week. Now he does one, but he used to go 2 days a week. And I knew the 2 days he would go to the tire shop, I was not seeing him the next day. Because the tire shop doesn't start till like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something like that. And they work through the night.
Yeah, it's 9 to 9.
Told me that story that you go every Wednesday.
Yep, every Wednesday. Yep, we go bust that down.
The story is that he comes here, he helps us with the detail of the vehicles. Right at 6, 7, he goes overnight to work on the fire
At the tire shop, yeah.
And then he comes the next day at 9 or whatever time that he comes.
Well, he aims to be here at night.
Just think about this. It's gonna be more than 24 hours straight.
Yeah. It's just still, yeah.
Sometimes 30, 36 hours in a row.
Yeah, all day at least. You know.
So now I want to get into Mr. Gibson of and I really can't wait to speak about this. I think he's pretty excited about it too. But how did you meet motivation? How does this relationship and that relationship and your relationship with motivation start?
Okay, bad. I'll get to that. But when I was going to the tire shop, and I was washing cars at my cousin's tire shop. So he allowed me to. Now this is you know, my cousin Will. He allowed me to wash cars at his tire shop, you know. So I was washing cars there late night, overnight, had lights, had lights like this, you know. And I'd be out there waxing cars like 2 a.m. because it's a 24-hour tire shop. So I was there busting that down. Then I ended up going buying a car. And when I got the car, I was able to have my little pill tank inside the car to wash cars with. And then I started doing Uber. And then I was also having like, I'll have like some days on my dad's week where I was running their car wash.
So when were you sleeping?
Well, I didn't have time. I was in jail all that time. I need to catch up to what you know.
So like for real though, like with doing that much, like in a night, how much on average were you sleeping?
I don't know, 4 hours.
That's insane.
4 hours was like my little. I think that's why I can say that, you know, because it was like I noticed 4 hours, you know, and sometimes I just wake up at a certain time, just be going, you know. So I was doing that, like keeping that up, and then you know, I had a downstroke, you know, I had a downstroke and all that stuff, and but you know, I still had customers and stuff like that, you know. I was still being able to go, like I was pressure washing. I started pressure washing gas stations and stuff when I got I had a little journey.
This is what I mean by like serial entrepreneur. We got the tire shop. We know painting, we know sheetrock, we know we're pressure washing gas stations. I imagine you were pressure washing people's houses and driveways too.
What? All day.
Detailing.
All day.
This is what I mean by serial.
I gotta go see this gas station today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I was doing all that in the mix, you know, with doing Uber, you know, and all that and everything, and let's see, you know, I had a. You know, my mail, I missed the court date, and when I missed the court date, it's just, I got my license suspended, and I was driving one day, and I got stopped and all that, and, you know, it was just messed up, like like my whole thing that I had, it was like a domino effect, and I was like, oh, shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, even during that time, I was still like washing cars and stuff like that, but I was like, you know, like trying to be under the radar. Like it was just some hot stuff, you know, that I was just, you know, kind of fell back on. But I was going to, and so just right then, you know, I've been in jail, you know, my kids, they grew up without me. I just wanted to do something constructive with them, you know what I mean? So during that time that I was going through that, you know, the thing that gave me strength was like my daughter, you know what I mean? Just being around her. So I was like, I want to do something with her. I said, let's do something. And we was like, all right, we're going to go to school. So we went to school.
Nice.
We went to school, and I took up massage therapy, and she took up cosmetology. Or no, aesthetics or something like that. Yeah, and she took that up. So, you know, I did that, you know, went through, you know, that. And even while I was there, you know, even in school, you know, I met a wonderful woman, Sandy, peace, San, you know what I mean? And we started a business together, you know what I mean? So we started a business together, you know what I mean, as far as the transportation company, you know what I mean? She was doing detailing with me too, you know what I mean? So, and then we started doing transportation and stuff like that. So we was popping off a little bit, you know what I mean? So, and then picking up cars, junk cars and stuff like that, you know, had it like Sanford and Son up there.
That's
you know
funny.
What I'm saying? So, yeah, so she's dope, you know what I mean? So then we had came in here to, I think, get a truck or something.
Sandy came in here.
Yeah.
I hadn't met you yet.
Right. Right. She had came in here, you know, and was getting the.
But where was that? Midtown or here?
No, I was here.
I met Sandy here.
He met Sandy here, you know what I mean? But
I met you in Mid.
Yeah, you met me in Midtown, you know what I mean? But we came to get a truck because I had met Emmett, you know what I mean? Emmett is, you know, the reason why I had got with motivation, you know what I mean? So Emmett, you know, was the liaison.
Shout out Emmett.
All day. Emmett's, you know what I mean? Emmett know what's up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it was crazy. But when we came to get the truck, you know, I came in and was like, yo, look, you know, I do detailing and stuff like that. You know, I want to come up here, you know what I mean? Because, you know, in Midtown, you know, with Lou, I was, oh, this is motivation too. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this is the big joint, you know? So I was like, yeah, you know? So I gave the number and stuff. So Emmett had called me up here and stuff like that. And I had talked to him, and we popped off like that, you know? And, you know, that's how we started with motivation. You know what I mean? We came up here, we was doing cars and stuff like that. And it was a good relationship, you know? And there was just ease and ups and
And I
downs,
want you to
stuff like
talk
that.
about that. I want you to talk about the ups and downs and bring us to present day, because what that relationship went through versus where it is now is
Oh wow.
totally different stories, right?
Oh yeah. That's like a whole soap opera. So.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that was just drama. It was like, just just being in the work environment and stuff like that, and being around different people. We're not all gonna agree on things and stuff like that, But when we're working together, in business, sometimes, it just we have to deal with each other, you know what I mean? And that was one of the things that I learned that I had to teach myself when we got to deal with people, whether it's unethical or not, however I feel about it. It was just negative, you know what I mean? It was negative for me, you know what I mean? And I was trying to just, combat it, so I had to keep control of things. It was real petty, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like go into like the little.
Well, I think
little
like
things,
like
but
really without going into the little things, but like
Yeah.
from my perspective, it was almost like you played the best part you could for your business. You knew, it seemed like, hey, this is a company that I want to continue to do business with, and I want them to continue to do business with me. And it's like you would always like, it's almost like
step back.
almost like, imagine like catching a football or catching a baseball. It's like when it was coming in hard, you would just absorb it, and when it was time to let it go, or move towards it, you would just move a little bit more towards it. So like through our
was pretty
relationship,
dope.
right? Like it was just like there was peaks where motivation was doing its own thing independently, and at those things you didn't get mad or upset or like, yo, I'm never coming back here. You just kind of ease your way out a little bit, and the moment he saw the door open up again, boom, you just creep right back through the
That's
door.
it.
And that's what kept happening. That's what kept happening.
Right.
And I'll let you speak about present day.
Yo, that's how he explained it is exactly like how it went and exactly how I had to deal with it. You know what I mean? In order to keep the relationship. You know what I'm saying? That was exactly. I was like, nah, ain't nothing gonna ruin it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, do anything to ruin it. You know what I mean? And anytime that I thought that it was, not a good thing, and I didn't have any work here, when I would come talk to you, be like, nah, everything's fine. You know what I mean? You're like, everything's fine. You ain't got to mess with your stuff or anything. And I'll be like, okay, and then,
Oh
eventually.
yeah, I forgot all about that, because one of the things Mr. Gibson's did was you set up shop here,
Yeah.
right? And when we stopped using the services a little bit, you were like, hey, is my stuff cool here? I was like, yeah, I guess it's cool. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah, you was like, nah, it's all right. Just, if we get some more work for you, I'll let you know. You know what I mean? That's what you would tell me. You know what I mean? So that right there, I was always like, oh, okay. So, and when it would happen, I got called back. You know what I mean? And when I would get called back, that's how, and like when it happened the first time, that's how I knew. I was like, yeah, that's all, that was perfect. I don't care. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna change my destiny. Nobody's gonna change what's gonna happen to me. Nobody's gonna change what I'm building for me. You know what I'm saying? It's just who's gonna be there and who's not. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be there, then fine. If you're not, then you're not. You know what I mean? That's gonna be your decision. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I've always been coming. I've always had this. I've had all that time to sit in there and do that. I'm not. I'm gonna keep going no matter what.
I respect that.
You see, my resilience is what I had to learn to like. This is what I like. I used to like. I remember trying to go do a roofing job in Rhode Island, and my dad's not around and stuff like that for him to go get the contract, whatever. But I was trying to do it, and then like the dude, like you're talking on the phone, it was okay. But then when I got there, he immediately changed his mind. That happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That happened to me a lot. Like people would, you know what I mean? Like even driving Uber, like people would come out with the tip, and when they get to the car, they'd be like, put it right in the pocket. I saw that. Was that mine? Things like that. But when I was younger, that stuff would happen to me a lot. I didn't really know how to take it, absorb it, so to speak. You know what I mean? And sometimes I would be reactive about it. But stuff like that used to happen. And that's why I was reluctant to talk to people, to do business and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
One thing that I love, and I think is the right time to tell my story with you. At that time was very heartbreaking, to be 100% transparent with you guys, because let me picture the scene for you. We just reopened the Midtown location right when I met you.
Yeah.
So in the Midtown location, my desk was here, and the sales manager was right next to me. At the time, the sales manager was Kevin, my cousin, and all the customers were right next to me. Right, and I was paying attention to all the conversations while I was working, right. And that day, I just remembered that the Mr. Gibson, who was helping us with the cleaning of the cars, he even test drove a vehicle because he was trying to get it. I still remember the vehicle.
I knew you was talking about that time. Go ahead.
It was around 1500 with all black with, and I remember the lug nuts were kind of spike, were kind of a spike and red. I never forget the truck. So at that time I remember that I was hearing the whole conversation, and
Disease dropping, man. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So at that time, I remember that Gibson was trying to get that vehicle, and when he was trying to get that vehicle, that bank is coming asking like for 8,000 to 10,000 for down payment. And I just remember Gibson, watching Gibson in need of that vehicle that time. And he was in pain. He was making a lot of calls. I don't want to tell who he was. He was, come on, I wouldn't mess it up. I need this vehicle. I need to get back on my feet. Allow me the opportunity to get the credit. Please be the co-signer. So, I mean, I'm listening to all the conversation, and the deal didn't come through. Gibson was still coming 1, 2, 5, 6 months, and he was riding a Vespa all this time, all the time. He was showing up on my Vespa, driving, coming, and cleaning all those cars.
So, shout out to the Lambo. That was the Lambo. Yeah.
That time,
whipping that.
Every day that I was in Gibson, I was just thinking about that run. That deal that didn't. It wasn't Moderation's fault. It wasn't Gibson's fault. It wasn't the bank's fault. It was just business. Gibson didn't take it personal. If he would have taken personal that situation, he wouldn't be here today. And 2 years after that situation, I'm just seeing Gibson every day with his own crew, like 4 or 5 people showing up every day to Moderation in his own vehicle.
And 2 of them.
Yeah, his own truck.
Yeah.
And oh my God, like what time can do with people like Hips hustling, people that is not a quitter.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what's up.
That particular day.
That's what's up, man. You watched that whole joint, huh?
Of course, man.
Damn, I never thought of that. Like you know about oh man, y'all don't even know, bro.
I was in first row. First row, right?
That's right.
Just watching you bloom.
Yo,
watching you bloom.
I was riding and then I started riding out here.
In the Vespa.
In the same Vespa.
Yeah. Yep. I would have to go there and then come out here too eventually, because then out here they call me back, and I was like, what? Yep. I'll be up there. I'll put the stuff inside open the little tank, put the little my little whatever I need in there. And I'll have to ride all the way up here. I'll be like, man, this one was hard though. It'd be cold.
Yeah, and I think like kind of like what you just said. That's really where my relationship with you started, was the fact that like what you said. It wasn't the bank's fault. It wasn't Mr. Gibson's fault. It wasn't Motivation's fault. It was just business, and you kept it just at that. And that's why I appreciated our relationship, because like it just seemed like, and this is, I mean, I was gonna say this is not particularly for anybody, but it actually is. There was some vendors that would just attach onto me like a leech, just suck me dry, suck all my resources out of me, suck all my money out of me.
Oh,
and when I told them like, yo, I just need some time, or I don't have anything right now, right? Because the thing with a vendor is that it costs money by the job, and the money is due right now, right? It's different than an employee, because you can get an employee where they're not paying for supplies, they're not paying for a crew, they're not paying for anything else, insurance, anything like that. I'm taking care of everything, and they come and get a salary or hourly wage or whatever it is, and I provide the resources, right? But with a vendor, it's like, okay, they're buying, like, so the prices are a little bit higher too. And when I couldn't do business with vendors, they would just get so emotional. You know what I mean? And it wasn't about emotions for me, right? It was just about like, hey, it's business, and if you can't respect my business, why are you expecting me to not respect yours? Because I was gonna do that anyway. But like, let's say if you had to increase your prices, right? People have increased their prices on me many a times, and I understand it's just business. But the one time I had to pull back, people would just get so emotional, and that's why I appreciated you, because every time I didn't have work, it's like, okay, you would just back out. It was nothing but respect, and every time we went back in, it felt like, okay, I can call Gibson's Mobile Detail again without having to feel like it's going to be any ego involved, or he would make a comment about, well, yeah, you should have never stopped calling me or whatever.
Wow.
And for me, that's why it always was like, you were the easy call, right?
Wow.
And there's a ton of businesses out there that I still intend to do business with in the future and things like that, but for my detailing part, it got to the point where, like, in present day, Motivation doesn't have a detail crew. We don't have not one employee in detail that's on payroll. All of our detailing is done on the day-to-day by Gibson's Mobile Detailing, right?
Yo,
Yellow
boy, Pee-wee,
Rod. Every single vehicle that ever gets cleaned here, it's done by a vendor, right? And that's my relationship with you just comes from, like, yo, I could always just be upfront with you when it came to prices, when it came to business, when it just came to our day-to-day. Like, I could just say, hey, these are my expectations, and it was like your consistency, right? You would show up no matter what. No matter the situation, whether it was a bus or a Vespa, or you had to get a ride from somebody or whatever it was, you were showing up too. It was the fact that you were giving it your 100%, right? No matter what, it was never, sure, was there something that could have been done differently or whatever? Sure, but I know it was not because of a lack of giving it 100%, right? Whether it was raining, whether you had just went to the tire shop and you were running on no sleep for 36 hours, no matter what it was like, you would do your best to give me the best version of yourself. And that's really why I admire you so much, right? Because most people, I feel like, would just get small. You actually had real big and serious obstacles, right? And some of them maybe were self-created, right? I won't totally let you off the hook there, but no matter what happened, you just kept going, right? Because like, truth be told, if I had to go through the system like you did, bro, I'm good off of working, right? Like real talk, you know what I mean? So I just feel like that's really what I really appreciate about you. You know, the fact that you've always just been you, no matter the situation.
Well, that's dope. I appreciate that.
And so now we talked about present day, right? Gibson's Mobile Detailing's biggest contract is Motivation.
Shout out to Motivation today.
Yeah, absolutely,
you, man.
And so I want before we wrap it up, Mr. Gibson, I want you to not just talk about present day, talk about some of your other ventures. I want people to know about you, about your other businesses, and then before we wrap it up, just tell us what you think the future holds for Mr. Gibson.
Well, first of all, I'll start with detailing, and you know, it's the dealerships. You know what I mean? I want to take the dealerships by storm, basically. You know, I want Gibson Mobile Detail to be in dealerships, you know. Gibson Mobile Detail is a brand that the dealerships need, you know, to have your car done by, you know what I mean, our services. You know, you're going to get a OCD cleaning of your cars. You know what I'm saying? The detail of it. You know what I mean? We don't wash cars, we detail cars. So I think that, you know, sometimes I go on the floor of the showrooms and stuff like that, and I'll be seeing things. I'll be like, man, I think we can do something, you know, to help you sell your cars. Because my cousins, you know, shout out to Rock, you know what I mean? Yo, when he buy cars, yo, come clean my car, come clean the car, I gotta sell it. And as soon as I clean it, it's gone. We've been doing that for years, you know what I mean? So that's the thing, and that was my whole point. Even though, you know, he does his thing, you know, on his own by himself, you know what I mean? I really loved that, because he was selling the cars that I was cleaning, you know what I mean? So I really want to, like, I want to be in dealerships. I want Gibson's Mobile Detailing to be a name brand dealership cleaning company.
Absolutely, and I endorse that for sure. And what about what other ventures you got going on? I want them to know about everything.
Well, you know, I aim like that banana Foster, you know, Delicious Dells be popping, you know. I make different foods, sweets and stuff like that. I have my Serve certification. I've been cooking for a long time. Been cooking in restaurants, Wes's Rib House. Shout out to Uncle Antoine. Oh, shout out to Uncle Antoine too on the dealership tip. You know, he was here working in motivation for a while too. That's who I started cooking at a restaurant with. You know?
And when it comes to Delicious Dells, we've had 2 events catered by Delicious Dells. One was desserts only, and the banana froster, I'm telling you, is the best dessert I've ever had in my life. And hit him up just for that, just to try that. I promise you, it will not let you down. And then we also had was it July 4th? Yeah, our July 4th was catered completely by Delicious Dells. It was real chill, laid back. I didn't have to do anything. Grills pulled up, meat, vegetables, burgers, everything was there. Completely catered and served by Delicious Dells.
Word. Shout out to Trinique too. Yo, the corner store, you know what I mean? She put in
the lemonade.
Yo, yeah, the lemonade, Carmen. Peace, cuz. They love it. You know what I'm saying?
And what with everything that you've got going on, with the wind behind your back per se, with you landing your biggest contract you ever have, with you having all these other avenues for yourself, where do you see the future for yourself, Mr. Gibson? What do the next couple of years look like?
The next couple of years is me concentrating on, you know, having dealerships, you know, having at least 3 or 4 dealerships, you know what I mean, contracts, you know what I mean? 3 or 4, like I'm going to solicit hundreds, you know, I want to be able to, once I start, you know, it's going to be hundreds solicited at one time, you know, and, you know, I just want to land a couple. If I land a couple, you know, then we can go up. You know, we can go up and do other things, you know what I mean? And with that, you know, with Delicious Dells in tow, you know, I'm going to have my truck, you know what I mean? Well, it's not a truck, you know, stay tuned for the Delicious Dells RV. It's coming. Don't sleep. You know what I mean? It's going to be, you know, it's going to be dope. It's going to have everything in it where you can come get your ice creams, your sweets, or your desserts, you know, off the truck as well, you know what I'm saying? So once that come through, you know, it's going to be in a stadium on a parking lot near you.
I love that, man. And what kind of message, like if you could leave everybody with a message that's listening, that's tuning in, all our viewers, the people you know, the people you don't know, right? Because you've lived a hard life, and I feel like you're finally seeing the fruits of it come together. Mm-hmm. If you could leave everybody with a message, and also a way to get in touch with you, if they do want to do business with you, if you could hit everybody on that camera, everybody that's listening, leave them with something.
Stay down. Stay down with your goals. Stay down with whoever's true with you, whoever's true to you. You stay down, it's going to happen. Sometimes, you know, our thoughts are the worst than the situation. It's mostly our thoughts. If you think about it, you know, anything that you've been through, the thought of it was like the worst thing that was about it. Once you went through it, it was like, oh, okay. The thought was mostly the worst part of it.
100%.
You know what I mean? So if we just stay down, you know what I mean? Stay down, then we're going to get what you want, you know? Because, you know, I used to think like, man, this is taking a while and stuff like that, you know, because I had to fix my mindset, you know? But once I got it right, you know, as long as I stay down, you know, things are coming in fruition, you know? So just stay down, be consistent, be true to yourself, and be true to others. Peace.
And how can they contact Gibson's Mobile Detailing and Delicious Dells? Drop them a phone number.
Gibson's Mobile Detailing. You can contact me at 404-503-8767. You know, hit me up. You know, send a text. You know, I respond better to texts.
And I think unless you have anything, Homer, I think that's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of MotorCast. As always, it means the world to us for you to be here, listen to us, take time out of your day to watch us. And I promise you, the way this elevator is set up, it only goes up. So I'm excited to bring you all the valuable content. Mr. Gibson, we super appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, yo.
Thank you, Homer. Gentlemen. Appreciate you, Homer. Don't leave me hanging on camera, bro.
Not because I remember MotorCast on Spotify, Moderation Trucks on YouTube, Moderation Trucks on every social media. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. There's where you can find us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Yo,